Is there a Democratic Party, or has it been hijacked by the extreme left? Is there still a Democratic Party? Because let me tell you,
I would say the exact same thing, and it's not even a question. The Republican Party has been hijacked by not even the extreme right, by Trumpism, which isn't even right. I mean, a lot of it is like it's just a cult about one guy. I wouldn't call it right to be so loving of Russia.
In this video, Dr. Phil unexpectedly appears on Bill Maher's podcast, sparking a heated exchange that leaves Maher visibly flustered. Known for his sharp wit and no-nonsense style, Dr. Phil challenges Maher's laid-back, often sarcastic approach, forcing him to confront important issues head-on. As the conversation becomes heated, Dr. Phil responds forcefully, breaking down topics that question Maher's worldview and change the usual dynamic. Bill Maher, who typically commands his discussions, becomes visibly uncomfortable as Dr. Phil asserts his views with unwavering confidence and clarity. Throughout the podcast, Dr. Phil maintains his uncompromising stance, pressing Maher for his opinions and making the veteran host increasingly uncomfortable. The result is a must-see encounter where Dr. Phil goes toe-to-toe with Bill Maher, showing that even a seasoned host like Bill Maher can be taken by surprise. Watch how Dr. Phil destroys Bill Maher in no time.
If the Democratic Party of 20, 30 years ago is not like the Democratic Party today.
Either is the Republican.
I was going to say that next.
No, I agree. No, I agree. Yes.
Because I truly am apolitical. I vote for people and policies, not parties. But if I had to describe myself historically, I would say I've always been a social democrat and a financial Republican.
Do you ever have a Jewish girlfriend? You were very pro-Israel there a minute ago.
No, I don't think so.
No?
But like I say, I've been with the same woman 50 plus years.
Right.
So it's been a long time.
Okay. Jewish mistress?
That was a loaded question.
Really? I didn't think so.
Very clear no.
I know.
Very clear no.
Dr. Phil's question to Bill Maher got right to the point. Is the Democratic Party truly left wing, or has it been hijacked by extremists? By extremists, Dr. Phil was referring to the woke left. A term he noted was both blunt and provocative. Maher's response was immediately defensive, dodging the question and launching an attack on the Republican Party. Instead of addressing the state of his own party, Maher went on to accuse the Republican Party of being overrun by right-wing extremists and Trumpisms. Maher's inability to criticize his own side, or even consider the impact of woke influences on the Democratic Party, showed that he was unwilling to engage in a real dialogue on the subject. It was as if the mere mention of it made him automatically defensive. This response not only highlighted the sensitivity around these issues, but also underscored how polarized the conversation was. Even a simple question from Dr. Phil immediately put Bill Maher on edge. It was a pivotal moment that showed how deeply ingrained and divisive these issues are in the current political climate.
This country's got to wake up and start being more self-determining than depending on who's in office. And if you've got idiots out there that aren't putting America first, we got to kick their ass to the curb. It's just, I don't care if Republican or Democrat, we got to kick their ass to the curb. We can't have those people contaminating and poisoning the ideology.
But see, the Democratic Party is better at self-correcting. Like Kamala, her speech at the convention was very pro-American. I mean, if you told me that Kamala Harris would be the presidential candidate 6 months ago, and that I accepted that and then said, okay, and she's going to use the word privilege in her acceptance speech, I would have thought it would have been about white privilege and all that bullshit that they're always on about. Not that it's all bullshit, but it bugs me. I mean, they just go overboard. But that's not what her speech was about. She said it's a privilege to be an American, which is music to my ears. Like, that's what that party needs to hear.
What Bill Maher said is spot on, and it's something the Democratic Party really needs to hear. I'm not exactly sure where Kamala Harris fits into this, and honestly, I don't watch her speeches much, but Maher's point stands. The Democratic Party seems to seize every opportunity to appear anti-American. Whether it's kneeling during the national anthem or supporting so-called pro-Palestine protests, there's a pattern here. And I'm not picking sides in the Israel-Palestine conflict, as I often say. I hope they both lose. But there's no denying that many left-wing activists on college campuses used those protests to stomp on American flags and turn it into an anti-American display. It's primarily the left, the woke left, that engages in this, attempting to frame a speech by Kamala Harris as a sign that Democrats are more patriotic than Republicans. That's misleading. Only one side consistently takes steps to criticize or tear down American symbols, whether it's pushing to remove historical statues or renaming schools, as Dr. Phil often points out. Yes, America has dark chapters like slavery, but what country doesn't? America's history is relatively restrained compared to many others, and yet there's one side that seems especially ashamed of it.
You don't think she wrote that speech, do you?
I don't know. What politician writes their own speech? Maybe Obama. But who gives a shit? She said it. That's what matters. She said it. She gets it. And and by the way, immigrants get that. She's from immigrant stock. They get that. You're lucky to be here because you could be there where you walked 1,000 miles to get away from. That's one reason why they don't turn on Trump in the way the Democrats would like them to. Trump's popularity keeps going up with immigrants because when he says things like, rapists, yeah, that's out of line, but they come from shithole countries. They're like, fucking right, we came from a shithole country. Why do you think we swam here through shark-infested waters or whatever the fuck they did? We did it because we came from a shithole country. This man speaks the truth. And now we're not in a shithole country. And, there are more inspiring slogans than we're not a shithole country, but,
that's a start.
It's a start. And there's too much about this country that does resemble a third world country, not least of which is an wannabe autocrat who does not believe in conceding elections. That's certainly a mark of a third world country. Everybody at the Democratic convention who spoke was part of the tradition of the Democratic Center. Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Obama. The Republicans had nobody pre-Trump. George Bush, no Mitt Romney, nobody representing McCain. It's like that Republican Party didn't exist before Trump because they're not on board with the cult leader. So there is a difference.
What do you think America is going to do when they have time to figure out all of the people that lied about Biden's condition? All the people around him that lied about his condition.
Not me. I kept doing jokes about it, and people would say to me, and they'd stop me in restaurants and say, Bill, stop doing those jokes about Biden, you're helping Trump. And I'd be like, right, like no one would notice otherwise. Like I'm the guy who spilled the beans about Biden being old.
That's the last thing that helped Trump because it made him run against somebody else.
It's amazing how well this turned out for the Democrats. If they hadn't had the early debate, Biden would be the candidate. The fact that they had that debate, which never happened before. Nobody ever had a debate in June. That was the dumbest thing that they could have done. Because once the Democrats saw it, and the Democrats, for once in their lives, got their shit together fast, and they were like, oh, okay, out with the old, in with the new.
I don't get why it took them that debate to realize it. Joe Biden performed exactly as I expected. Even without watching him closely, just from seeing clips over the last few years, it was pretty clear how he would perform. So, how did the Democrats see that and then suddenly panic? I don't buy it. I think they knew what they were doing all along. They probably set up that early debate with the expectation that he would stumble, using it as a way to position him for failure. I believe they wanted to remove him from the start, and this was a calculated setup. By putting him out there knowing he'd have a poor performance, they could then justify moving him out once the general public reacted, saying, oh, look how out of it Biden is. It feels like it was all orchestrated to give them a reason to replace him. That's my take. What about you? What do you think? Leave a comment below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to watch upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.